Thank you very much, Professor Frankel. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the annual John Gandel Symposium on the Middle East. I have the distinguished honor to introduce Dr. Daniel Gold and Professor Uzi Rabi. Brigadier General Daniel Gold is the head of Defense Research and Development Directorate since July 2016. Dr. Gold is in charge of determining the military research and development policy for Israel, including oversight of its execution. In charge of all research and development, technology infrastructure, full-scale development capabilities, development including special directorates such as space, UAVs, missile rockets defense, high-end manpower development for the defense organizations. Dr. Gold holds 2 PhDs, which he has unprecedentedly completed concurrently within 2 years. PhD in electronic engineering and a PhD in business management, both, I'm happy to say, from Tel Aviv University. Dr. Gold has held several positions within the Ministry of Defense and the Israel Air Force, including management of the Ministry of Defense and the IDF's main projects. Head of the Ministry of Defense, the IDF R&D unit, head of the main UAV drones project, head of electronics and electronic warfare, head of armament and avionics. After leaving active duty in the IDF, as a private citizen, he founded Gold Research and Development Technology and Innovation Limited and was its CEO. The firm offers both consultancy and business technology ventures and development. It was also involved in the development of various inter- and cross-disciplinary areas from technology, company size, innovation stage aspects, and business aspects, both local and international. Examples of the areas of Dr. Gold's company include research and development, research and development management, innovation, cybersecurity, smart safe cities, homeland security, mobile technology and communications, and commercial drones. In addition, Dr. Gold is the head of the Israel National Committee for Commercial Civilian Cyber Research and Development, and he is a board member of the Israel Brain Technology Organization. Dr. Gold was awarded the 2012 Israel Defense Prize for his initiation and management of the Iron Dome missiles rocket defense system. Under his leadership, the Research and Development Unit was awarded the Israel Defense Prize 8 times. Dr. Gold was personally awarded several times for his technical operational innovations, which led to exceptional capabilities of the armed forces. He is a 4-time recipient of the Israeli Air Force Prize and was also awarded the Singapore Defense Technology Distinguished Fellowship Award. Selected the Man of the Year of 2012 Forbes magazine Israel, Dr. Gold was also selected as one of the top people positively influencing Jewish life. He was also selected to be in the top inspiring and influencing Israelis, awarded in 2014 the Knight of Government Quality Prize, the Courage Prize, the 2012 Israel Defense Prize. Dr. Gold was selected to light the torch during the opening of the Israel Independence Day in 2015. In a national competition on the occasion of Israel's 70th anniversary, set by the Ministry of Economy and Industry, Iron Dome, founded by Dr. Gold, was selected as the most innovative Israeli technology of all times since the establishment of the State of Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to welcome Dr. Daniel Gold.
Good afternoon. It's my honor and pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me. I start directly my lecture. I cover not just Iron Dome. We're in charge of all the research and development in the Ministry of Defense. Our organization is dual-headed, reported both from the Chief of Defense Forces, as both from the Ministry of Defense, the military and the commercial or civilian arm. So I directly give you some outline of what we are doing, mainly by videos. Start by a few examples. Of course, we are dealing with underground warfare. It's done in our organization. At last 2 years, we have succeeded to find technology solution that can find, map, and destroy the tunnels. And as you read in the media, we find one after another in the last year. I hope you will clear them all a year from now. So this is the underground warfare. And now I go to some videos. We are in the middle of development of a multi-mission aircraft. As you see, is a Gulfstream Business Jet. We adapt the Gulfstream, we close the window, we put sensor around, and he is in charge of, will be in charge of controlling the air, land, and sea. I give you some example on the naval arena. Find all the naval target, identify them, and then if something have to done about it, he is doing it. And going even to the ground arena, this is Lebanon, finding all what is going on in Lebanon, all the targets, whether they are moving or stationary day and night, find intelligence. This is in night. And so we are in the middle of developing this multi-billion-dollar project. Another example, now we know that we are leading the world with, we call it digital army. Everything is digital. The soldiers, officer get to his iPhone or iPad, the ruggedized one, all the information, maps, who is shooting at you, where are you, where your friend. It's working already. Now we are adding 3D, three-dimensional layers to this. This is Gaza in three-dimensional. You can see the building and mapped very accurately. Gaza is very dense. If we have UAV drone in the air, we see what exactly, at what house our UAV is looking at. We see the video inside, even the video of the UAV. If we have two UAV or few UAV, we can see the video of the two UAV. This, for example, is two UAV looking at the same car, this car near the mosque, or this car is the same car. We look at from different angle our UAV in order to make sure that nobody is around, no civilian is around, and the terror leader are in the car. And then if someone wants to take an action, he can do it in very good control. So this is the new thing that we introduced to the digitized army. Then another thing that this is our vision. We are not yet there, but you can see under the sea, in the sea, some plant. It looks like plant, but you will see in a few seconds that it's not exactly a plant. It's an octopus which can disguise very good. It's not only by the color, it's color-shaped material. We're trying to copy-paste this to be invisible, either by cars or either by human. We are on the way. We are not there yet, of course, but we are on the way. Another example, what we have done, if you remember this, take another one. We are, a few years back, the terrorists wanted to shoot down El Al aircraft in Mombasa, Kenya, in Africa. For our luck, they missed the aircraft. And Prime Minister asked us to develop something to protect the commercial aircraft. It's the first in the world. Of course, Air Force One have it, but no commercial jet have it, so develop it. The scenario is very simple. They buy this lethal shoulder launch missile, either from the black market or either from countries. They hide near the runway. Today, the missile is very deadly. They can even a few kilometers away and wait for the aircraft to either to land or to take off. Very big target, easy to shoot. So they shoot missile. This, of course, not true. This is emulation. Shoot at the aircraft. On the aircraft, we have electronic warfare system that senses someone shoot missile at me, point a laser to the missile head, and deviate the missile out of the. It's not science fiction. It's working. It is installed in part of El Al aircraft. Not just El Al, other airline too. Israeli airline. Of course, one can install it anywhere you want, but around the world, but still now it's only in Israel. Another thing that we are working on is the next generation fighting vehicle. We don't need the music. It's the next generation tank. I give you some example of what it's capable to do. It's, of course, all is cockpit glass. Is not, you don't see through, you're in the vehicle, everything is touchdown IED alert, you touch and neutralize the IED. You can even, in the future, you can even protect your own neighbors. This is an example, someone shoot anti-tank missile on this. So we enlarge the protection and take care of the anti-tank missile. And of course, other capability I skipped because of time. I give you another example of what we are doing in our missiles, in our aircraft. We usually buy the aircraft from US. This is F-16, Israeli F-16, and we replace almost everything inside, all the electronics and the brain. We said we try to do it Israeli-made because we know our arena. We have to have special capability, and we want to have full control with very fast capability to change things in days. So in this system, in this aircraft, we put electronic warfare system, and the plausible scenario, what even happened today, is flying, I don't know, to attack in Syria or other place, and the enemy aircraft want to take him down, hostile force, or air-to-air, or from the ground-to-air, you will see ground-to-air missile, like the S-300 of Putin, or SA-22 in Syria and Lebanon now. So we are, the aircraft, using electronic warfare technique, find the enemy before the enemy shoot him, XYZ, geolocate them exactly, and shoot them, present with the pilot some view, and then shoot the missile semi-automatically. Before they shoot us, we shoot them. All done semi-automatically. And in parallel to this, if you don't want to do it, we are transmitting to the air viruses. It's like cyber, but not in network. Viruses that are progressing toward the enemy missile, bypass all the enemy missile protection, touch a weak point, and you can see the missile miss the target. We are leading the world in this business of electronic warfare. This is something you cannot see. It's not like the laser. It's something like is stealthy, done in transmission. I think that maybe another thing that give you an example today. Probably you know today that the drone becoming very in. Commercial drone and military drone, you can buy them very cheaply. You can put camera, take a picture, do intelligence, and also paparazzi, but it's not my business. You do intelligence, and also you can put explosive in there, and you can attack. It's becoming a major threat to the army installation, to Air Force bases, to VIP, in order to assassinate VIP. And so we are working to find a solution towards that, to detect and then eliminate. One of the technique that we are analyzing and use and develop is taking down them by laser. You will see here, this is in some special installation. You can see this is the drone. In a few seconds, you will see the, either you ruin the camera, or either you take him down, all the UAV. You can see here in a few seconds. The laser is on and burn the UAV down, the drone down. Of course, we are not going to use it above Tel Aviv, but at Tel Aviv we have more technique which is more silent. I think I skip maybe one more thing to the fighting soldier. What we have done with some startup company, we invest a lot in startup company, not just in big companies. When you fight in the field, usually it's very hard to hit the target, hit the terrorist, either because they're moving fast or you are running. Normally you are shaking. You have to be very skillful. You never hit in the first bullet, maybe 10 bullets, 11 bullets. So what we did, we developed a system that you can hit the target in the first bullet. Some special mechanism, special thing that we put on rifle, and it can let you to hit in the first bullet. I won't go into the details. First bullet, never mind if you are a skill or marksman or usual soldier, but you can hit the target in the first bullet, which is breakthrough in the tactical war. Now I think I go to the Directorate. In addition to a wide variety of R&D in all aspects, we have also I have also free program directorate, which everything is under me, including from the research, development, production, and simulation in the field, all the life cycle, next generation. Start with the space. We are developing the satellite, which can be communication satellite or espionage satellite, okay, electro-optical satellite. They can watch the enemy and see what is going on. So we are, and also the launcher. We developed the launcher, which are used missile. This is the last launch about 1 year ago, successful one. This is the vehicle that we develop that take the satellite to space. In this case is a surveillance satellite. So the satellites go to space. We won't see him in space, but we will see the emulation. And then there's a separation in space. The missile separate the satellite. And we cannot see nothing in space, so nothing to see more than here because it's too far. But it's relation to the satellite. We have many satellites that we have delivered to space. You can see this is electro-optical satellite, like camera in the sky. This is a special satellite they can see through, see in the night, day, and through clouds and bad weather. This is communication satellite, and we have future, of course, plans also. And now we are going also to the nano-satellite. Nano-satellites, a satellite that this big, not huge one, very, and we're going to send 100 of them to the space to do various missions. So this is a space directorate. The UAV, which is drone, today they have different name, remote pilot air vehicle. We are leading the world in UAV. Started in 1971, we invented the UAV. Now we are leading the world together with US. Formed a very small one that the soldier can use on the ground. You can fly it very easily, either from some vehicle or you throw it by hand. Have a lot of sensors inside. Some of them can be cameras that can take picture beyond the hill or in Gaza or in Lebanon, send all the information back. It's very tactical, very good. We have hundreds of them already in use. And another class is medium weight UAV. We have a lot of them. This is one of them. We have from various manufacturers, all Israeli made, by the way. It can fly a lot of hours, 10, 20, 30 hours above the enemy territories and do many missions, So this is one of them. You can control the area, scan the area, stop terrorists, do a lot of missions. And we have, of course, this is the hugest one. Is few tons UAV. They can fly thousands of kilometers and stay days above the target and do many missions, including going to Iran or even farther than that. So this is the IDF, and of course the UAV or the drones already participate in all our wars. In the recent wars, I believe they took about 60% of the mission, not the manned aircraft, but the unmanned aircraft are doing a much more mission than the manned aircraft. It's becoming more and more, it will become more and more percentage. We develop everything in Israel, from the cameras to communication to UAV. All the assets are developing in Israel. Data processing, big data, all of this developed in Israel. And of course, the Missile Defense Organization. Our neighbors are very progressive. As you know, they have the rockets, now they have missiles. I will take care of that in a minute. They have tunnels, so we more or less, I hope we can solve the tunnels. The missile we will solve, I will show you how. So they are exactly, don't know what to do. I trust them that they will find more threats. But the mortars, the ballistic threat are becoming more and more aggressive, starting from a few kilometers to a few thousand of kilometers. Missiles, rockets, all kind of threats. They are increasing the quantity. Okay, we are not now, but of course you can see in Syria they can have regular warhead. Regular is explosive. They can have chemical warhead. Conventional is regular, biological warhead, and maybe in the future a nuclear warhead from Iran. And they are going into the cruise missile also. Cruise missiles that are cruising very low near the ground or near the sea, about few meters, tens of meters, 50 meters above, very hard to detect and destroy. So this is in the large quantity, and in recent years there are increased accuracy. What do you mean that if they want to hit Air Force runway, they can hit Air Force runway. If they want to hit a strategic site or refinery, they can hit it very accurately. They don't have to shoot 200 missiles, hoping that one will hit the target. They want to hit Tel Aviv, in a specific building, they can hit specific building. So they are going to this. And of course, salvo is many at the same time. So our way to cope with this, in addition to the offensive capability and the intelligence dominance and try to catch them before they launch, try to destroy the launcher before they launch, of course we use the alert system, alarm system. If someone shoots at Israel, almost immediately we know that it's coming to Israel using all the sensors of Iron Dome and others. Immediately we know that it's going to land either in open space so we don't shoot, open area we don't shoot, let's say it's going to the sea. And if it's going to the city, we can alert. In the past, we alert all the city off of Israel. Have to go to the shelter today. We can alert specific neighborhood that the missile is expected to land there. So only they can go to the shelter. The rest of Israel can go to work. And in parallel to that, we're shooting the interceptor. We have few layers to cope with this threat, again, from 0 to 2,000 kilometers plus. One is, the first one is, or the last one, I start with the last, is Arrow 3. Arrow 2 and 3 are intended to long-range ballistic missiles. Was Iraq, now is Iran, few thousand kilometers away. Arrow 2 is intercepting them in the atmosphere, more or less above Israel, not in the space. It's working, operational already. Arrow 3 is for the same purpose, but now the interception is in space. Why in space? I give you one successful test. By the way, all the layers are last year we delivered to the Air Force all the layers, all are operational. Now we have in massive production of all the layers. We want to shoot the enemy missile in space because if it's carrying nuclear warhead, better to do it from Iran, better to do it far from Israel is more healthy because it's a nuclear warhead. And the second reason, we have time. Missile from Iran is not like from Gaza, it's not 10 to 15 seconds, it's 10 to 15 minutes. So we have time. We shoot the first arrow. If we miss the target, no issue, we shoot another one. If we miss the target, we activate the second arrow, arrow 2. We don't know even one nuclear missile penetrate all the shield because it's a nuclear weapon, won't be very nice. So this is the heat in space. The weather was very good. So we can see it's operational now. We are in production. Arrow 2, I talk about the Arrow 2. Now dealing with long-range rockets, medium-range missiles, and mainly the cruise missiles, we have developed and sent to the field already David Sling. David Sling is something, again, capable missile, which can intercept cruise missile. This is some example of, this is the launcher, this is the system, and this is some of the tests. Again, it's operational. We do it, by the way, with a joint effort with US, all the layers. We cannot see, I think, the interception because it was in a cloudy environment. So we can do it also in cloud. We check it deliberately in cloud. And of course, the Iron Dome, which is operational, work very good. Started with very short range. Now is expanded. We expand the capability every few months. We sent to the field new version, faster than the iPhone, by the way, new version to expand the capability very fast. I give you some example. This is from our wars. This is interception. It's very close to the house. This is interception above Ashkelon. The missile do what, this is the Iron Dome missile, do what you want. You have a brain inside, sensor inside. It's fully autonomous. He do this very nice maneuvering in order not for PR, but in order we see the explosion. This is the explosion. You know, two things. You have to protect a city, all the city, not a point, not Air Force Base, not Army camp. This was a part of the disagreement between me and the administration. I want to protect all the city, all Israel. So this is very high demand, and also you have to explode the enemy missile in the air. Because if I just hit it, and instead of Ben Yehuda Street, it will hit Dizengoff Street, I did nothing, someone will get killed. So we have to destroy the missile in the air, which is very high technology. So this is why I do this maneuvering, all the calculation in real time, all the big data, machine learning, everything is inside. Even we include something from the human body. We include the genetic algorithms, which is also some form of artificial intelligence in the system. But we didn't do it like in the genetic pace. We did it in 1/1000 of a second. So this is one example. The other example is from one example of Tel Aviv. I think it was 2012, I believe. Is the second shot on Tel Aviv ever. Since then, of course, they shoot a lot of missiles at Tel Aviv. So you will see, of course, is something from iPhone or someone uploaded to the YouTube. You can see that Tel Aviv are not used first shot to this issue, so they are still hesitating where to go. But at the end, they stopped to play volleyball, which is issue in Tel Aviv, and went to the shelter. Part of them decide to hide in the promenade of Tel Aviv, in this wall, near the rental bike project of Tel Aviv. Not very optimal, but better than nothing. And I brought this movie not because of the behavior, because the one who catch it managed to catch also the interception above Jaffa. Here, was here. And people are happy, clapping hands. This is the explosion. Now from Tel Aviv, two more move it and, no, sorry. Ashkelon, I think, is at night. This from the YouTube. Someone take pictures and video and upload to the YouTube. This is the credit. So I leave it, give him the credit. And you will see very fast interception. By the way, you cannot see the enemy missile. The enemy missile already burned his engine, so there's no plume. So this is the second Iron Dome. The first is intercept here. The second intercept another one is going to the city, our Iron Dome, but at the last minute, second going up. And I think from the war, one of the war, this, give you some summary that we have made in the last operation. We deploy in a few days. We increase the numbers by 3. Take data Iron Dome from test field, from the R&D facilities. This is the Iron Dome from almost the middle of the city. This is the interception in Tel Aviv. They're shooting salvo, many at the same time, and Iron Dome responds with salvo of interception. Because I will show it maybe in another movie, maybe the best one from the YouTube. It was during a wedding in Beersheba. They tried to break the Iron Dome by sending 15 at the same time to the same place. It was during a wedding in Beersheba. I find it in the YouTube, of course. It was the wedding photographer, which have been smart enough to point his camera to the south when he hit the alarm, to get very good video in high definition, upload to the YouTube, get a lot of likes. So this is the wedding. You can see the alarm. This is the barbecue. Life continue. They trust the Iron Dome. Some going to the shelter, some continue to party. And you will see the Iron Dome start to work from a few places. We have few launchers. His decision, Iron Dome decision, where to shoot, what to shoot. And the first Iron Dome is going, the second is going, the third is from here, the fourth from here. Each one is going to his own friend, intercept him. And then Iron Dome send a cloud of Iron Dome, swarm of Iron Dome, because 15 in the air, each one is going autonomously to his own target and destroy them. I think was it's really like it's not a science fiction that they get free fireworks for the wedding. It costs a little bit of money, but they are not paying. The government is paying. So thank you very much. By the way, I
did. This was basically a creature that came from the 7th century and was inspired by Sunni fundamentalist zeal. His fiercest rival was on top of the West and Israel and others. His fiercest rivals was the Shia. We came to know in the last few years how deep the animosity between Sunni and Shia is. And of course, we don't have time to delve into too many details about that, but just take note that 1 million Muslims were slaughtered, mainly by other Muslims, in the last 5 years. 15 million refugees and displaced. And surprise, this was not the deed of Israel. This was the deed of Muslims versus Muslims. So it means that in the Middle East, there is something which goes beyond the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, then until then everybody took it as kind of a master key by which to solve all the problems of the region. So first for Israel is to understand that its conflict with the Palestinian is there. We do respect it, of course. But at the same time, we have to have it alongside with other conflicts that are sweeping the region. Second, ISIS was to become the pariah of everybody, especially when it started with the Hollywoodic scenes, which were sent by YouTubes and other to the whole world. And basically, it became kind of an enemy, public enemy number one of everybody. So here you could find kind of a gathering of the whole world smashing ISIS, and creating kind of a different map that I'll show you in a minute. This is the map of 2018, not 17. And you would see actually how geopolitics in the Middle East is something that you have to take with kind of a grain of salt or reservation. Now, let's say what happened here after the demise of ISIS. Since ISIS has seen the Shiites as his main rival or enemy, what happened here beneath the surface I mean Middle Eastern wisdom, not talking about kind of international conventions or something which goes beyond that. It is within Islam, Sunni versus Shia. What happened here is the creation of a zero-sum game, which says, not loud and clear, but again, in kind of what was the subtext of the conflict, where ISIS loses, Iran wins. So if you are ready, let's move to the second map. Here you go. Look, the gray spot have always almost disappeared. We got kind of an Iranian engine which managed to acquire strongholds all over Iraq except Kurdish Iraq, and all over Syria except Kurdish Syria. Okay, we don't have too much time to delve into too many details once again, but remember, it's not only harsh penetration. What does that mean, harsh penetration? Creating kind of militias which are being compiled by locals, Shiites, and headed and supported by the Revolutionary Guards coming from Iran, in Persian Pasdaran, and this is something that we have to take into account. Okay? The same goes for Syria. Here is Lebanon. This is an old story. A quantum leap forward from Iran to Lebanon in 1928, 1882. That was the creation or the composition of Hezbollah. Hezbollah in Persian, Party of God. And this was to become a proxy of Iran in Lebanon. By the way, today there are elections in Lebanon. If you would like actually to get an idea about the Middle Eastern sting, here it is. You're going to have government in Lebanon. You're going to have an army in Lebanon. But again, behind the scene, one step further back from the front, you would see actually Hezbollah as the party in control to a large extent. And this is to say that Lebanon is kind of an Iranian fifth dome, one way or the other. Now, what they are doing now is to turn Syria and Iraq into another Lebanon. And they managed to do that because they are investing a lot in infrastructure, civilian infrastructure, telecom, electricity, education, indoctrination. A lot of money has been poured into those states as to create in the Middle East what we call, not necessarily Israel, but many, many Arab states, especially Saudi Arabia, which while looking up, what they see is kind of an Iranian ceiling. You see that? It is called in Arabic Al-Hilal al-Shi'i, which means the Shiite crescent. Shiite crescent, by which to say that this crescent is being stretched from the head of the Persian Gulf into the eastern flank of the Mediterranean. And of course, we have kind of a different geopolitical chessboard. What actually Iran took advantage of is, of course, one way or the other, Western naivete, dangerous naivete, that tells you in the Middle East, and since Israel is in the Middle East and not in Europe, we have to tell many Israelis, first of all, here is not Europe, which means that if you snooze, you lose. So you can't snooze. You can't snooze in the Middle East. Okay? Now remember that we have here another newcomer who did the Putin after the American pullout. This is Russia, here in Latakia and Tartus. And let me tell you, actually, after having that picture, and of course there are many people who would argue some other things, but they have been argued that for decades, so I don't think that their argue is really right to the point. Iran is very dangerous. It has an agenda, and of course what happened recently is just kind of a vivid indication of how dangerous Iran is. Okay, so now let me tell you actually what we have in mind. First of all, what we are trying to do in Tel Aviv University, and this is definitely very unique. This is the Moshe Dayan Center, whom I know that most of you are familiar with all its activities. We are trying actually to ask ourselves in 2018, what should come to the fore? What should be emphasized in order to make Israelis one way or the other better equipped with what I call Middle Eastern wisdom? We have to make them be stripped of Western conventions, first of all. And Israel is a Western country. That's the problem. It lives in the Middle East. And we have to make sure that we keep things in balance. The other thing is to be divided into tactically and strategically purposes. Let's say short run, medium run, long run. Short run. Short run, Israel is definitely has kind of a problem in this place. This is Golan Heights. I know that some of you have been there actually in the recent week or today. In any case, the Iranian, let us say, notion would be to create what we call actually an extension of South Lebanon. See that? And have this strip also in order to get kind of a border or an extension of the friction with Israel from both Lebanon and Syria. Israel cannot tolerate that. So basically what you can see and hear from everybody, and this is something that I think is a consensus, because you would hear that not only from Netanyahu and the chief of staff, but from other politicians and policymakers, you cannot allow Iran to create here a replica of South Lebanon. Now, since rebels here are becoming few and far between because they were slaughtered by chemical weaponry, and they are going to be moved to the new ghetto here in the north of Syria in Idlib, what Israel has to do is to create kind of a set of means and understandings by which to deter the Iranians from having a deep stronghold here in this line, which is being stretched in the reef of Damascus and down or southwards, okay? So for that, Israel is talking to the Russians. The Russians are the boss in the Middle East nowadays. You can do nothing in Syria unless you got kind of an advanced accommodation with Putin. It's not kind of a pleasant job, but we have to learn how to do that. We have been always talking to the Americans. That was nice and easy. Now you have to deal with real stuff when it comes to the Russians. And the surprising thing is that the Russians are so keen and so well tuned to their particular interest that if you are pretty smart, you can talk to them about some things by which the Russians would even like to send a message to Iran that enough is enough. In some certain cases, is something that even the Russians would opt for. So you have kind of different hands. Remember that the Turks are here. They already actually entered Syria. Why? They don't want to see a Kurdish entity here, because that would cut them off from the Middle East. And of course, Russia does talk to the Turks, and make some actually agreements in advance. So basically we are in a triangle which is very, very different from that we used to have in the 20th century. In the 20th century, it went without saying. Who is the boss? America. Who is the regional boss? Arabs. Now, no Arabs, no Americans. We have a new troika. Persians, Iranians, and Turks. This is the triangle which dictates the rhythm in the Middle East. Now, of course, what we have to do first is to deal with what we call the Iranian presence in Syria. And of course, Israel has no other choice but to let the Iranians, and since they are very smart and very selfish, they can understand actually the message if it is being delivered in Middle Eastern language. Okay? So what we are trying to make people understand is how to speak Persian, not only the language itself, but how to get closer to the mindset of the other, because we understand that trying to deal in the Middle East with Western conventions, it would be ineffective, and this is understatement. Second, well, just 1 minute for each let us say, target. Strategically speaking, Israel has to do whatever it can to bring America back. Why? Because if this is the Shiite crescent, what we have to do is to have the Kurds, Sunnis, anti-Iranians, Jordan and Saudi Arabia create kind of an opposed crescent, which is supported by Arabs who do fear of Iran and supported by the United States. This is something for the medium term. For the long term, it is Israel. And since I know how much supportive you are of Israel, remember we too talk about some main points that should be delivered to Israelis and Jews whenever it comes. First of all, we would like actually to provide Israel with what we call actually young Middle Eastern experts. Second, we have to have what we call, on top of that, kind of a new brief and fresh contact with the diaspora, Jews or Israelis and the diaspora, since we are here 6 million, and that's all. Other 2 million are Palestinians. And since in the diaspora we have 7 million, grosso modo, and 60% of these 7 million, again, grosso modo, of course, could be definitely actually be driven to something that is, let us say, relatively speaking, is far more extreme or let's say remote from Israel and Judaism. We have to make kind of I would say an 11th hour effort to make sure not that people would do aliyah, but that the link between Israel and the diaspora is going to be kind of a much more stronger than ever before, after having understood where do we stand. And of course, the last point, don't be desperate, cheer up. If you have a guy like Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, the Saudi heir, which says loud and clear something that is unheard of in the Middle East. It is to say that, yes, Israel is the other state. But you know what? I'd rather work in tandem with Israel, economically speaking, security speaking, because my enemy is Iran. The same goes to Jordan. The same goes to Egypt. Same goes to Morocco. They just cut off relations with Iran. What happened? Iran supported Polisario in Western Sahara. This is an opposition group against the monarchical rule. So this is actually what we have to deal with one by one. We make them understand, first, that Israel is not biddable. Second, Israel is worth cooperating with. economically speaking, and in other items of life. So here I'll stop, and I'll hope, actually, let's hope for this. Well, the Chinese are kind of a third pillar on the new, let us say, geopolitical chessboard. One way or the other, while looking at the Chinese performance, you understand that the economy should be translated into geopolitical considerations. So we already speak Chinese too in Israel. And Tel Aviv University, I know I had the privilege to be with the president twice in China and promoting several things together. And I am proud to say that the Moshe Dayan Center has kind of a Middle Eastern institute where we have many, let us say, interactions with Chinese in Shanghai and Beijing. And I do think that China is more than welcome, because I think that this is high time for great powers to decide how to deal with this neighborhood, which has proved that if you don't have a guardian on the ground, you are doomed. So we would like actually to have kind of a new, let us say, power mechanism. Second, Iran. And Iran, I was asked actually 2 questions about Iran. First was the Iran deal. Second was the Iranian adventurism all over the place. Now think that way. In Iran, you have many voices, many colors. If you're going to actually listen to what Mohammad Javad Zarif, for example, has to say, he would come up with what they call in Europe charm offensive. Charm offensive, speak fluently in English and create something that makes European understand that everything is okay. But I'd rather listen to Soleimani. These are the guys who are the architects of the massacre in the Middle East. Now, what they have in mind, if I may, is that as long as they are so influential in the Middle East, they take captive not only the Middle East, but the Iranian public as well. Because what they are doing is trying to divert attention from many problems we have in Iran into the wider area and create kind of a different logic, not only for Iran's, but for the Middle East. I would say something which might be sound paradox, and this is something that I just said last time I've been to the associations of Middle Eastern experts in the States. You know, for them, if Israel had not existed, it would have been necessary to invent such a state. And this is a bargaining chip for themselves to create kind of a raison d'être and deliver it to everybody in the Middle East and out of the region. That's the problem of Israel. It is kind of a creature that was created by the West. This is how it is being taken, and this is why I say let's just make things in balance and keep our expectation as being the other state of the Middle East. There is cold peace with Egypt and others, and that's very very good. True intimacy, true love, and true friendship. Well, listen. I would leave it for the Jezekiel, the prophet, or things like that. Now, the last thing is the deal. Well, I don't think that at this time it would be good if the deal is going to be totally violated by President Trump. The problem is that the Iranians are very nervous because nobody knows what Trump has in mind. Until recently, the Iranians knew everything about the West. They were informed in advance how the West is going to perform. If I would be a little bit cynical, I would say that Trump is doing exactly what the Iranians used to do to everybody. I don't know actually what decision I would take. We have another week until Saturday when Trump is going to tweet or whatever and to let us know, and the Iranians, what he decided. And, you know, paradoxically speaking, this language makes Middle Easterners be much more anxious and afraid about things, and I can tell you that, in my opinion, the most important thing is to just fix it up, which means that some of the clauses should be reopened, and after Macron is going to persuade everybody, Germany, Russia, Iran, that this should be opened or reopened, I guess that we can get something which is much more reasonable, and I hope that Iran will, one way or the other, work in tandem with the understandings. History tells us that this is a pie in the sky, but let's hope, because the Iranians do understand that there are some newcomers, especially Trump, and again, we can say many, many things about Donald Trump. I don't know actually if this is kind of a coherent strategy you have in mind, but remember, just last note, what the Iranians are looking at is the Korean Peninsula, and dear God, the short guy, as Trump actually depicted him, is embracing South Korea, and here he is going actually to meet with Trump, and Iran was of the opinion that North Korea is the model to be followed. So now we have a problem. Thank you.
Please sit down. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, you already did it, but for Professor Uzi Rabi,